Welcome to summer. You know, I can't imagine why there's so many people here tonight because this is such a beautiful day. I thought, oh, they're going to go use the whole day and then they won't come to church tonight because it's going to be so nice and they'll want to sit outside. But by the fact you're here, the Lord must have something that He wants you to hear tonight. I know He has something He wants me to hear. This gospel is so important for us because we see two different versions of the apostles, Jesus' closest followers. We see in the first reading these apostles who are willing to suffer for the sake of the name. And in the gospel we see apostles who say, you know what, let's go back to our previous life. At least we were comfortable fishing. Let's go back and do that. Did they not experience the resurrection? But they're going to go back and they're going fishing again. So something changed between going fishing again and being willing to suffer for the name. And this dialogue that happens between Jesus and Simon Peter, I believe, is what happens that makes Peter essentially one day become a martyr. Now, during Holy Week in the Triduum, Father Wayne talked about the three different types of love. And in Greek, they have different names for these loves to be specific. And so I want to talk about two of those three words for love tonight. The first is a type of love for something that even though it is undesirable, even though it gives us every reason in the world not to love it, that's what this love is. And the second love is for something because it is desirable. It's the love that most of us have. We like or love things because they are desirable to us, because we have some connection with them. And so between these two loves, that's where this dialogue occurs. And so for the first love, it's called agape. And agape love is a love for someone even though they are undesirable, seemingly. This is the unconditional love that we speak of. The second type of love is philios. And philios is love for something because it's desirable. Philios, we get the word Philadelphia from this. Adelphos is brother, philia, Adelphos, the brotherly love, the city of brotherly love. So this is how the dialogue goes between Peter and Jesus. And maybe this kind of brings to mind why he had to ask him 3 times, do you love me? Jesus says to Peter, Peter, do you love me? Agape, more than these. Do you love me unconditionally? Peter says, Lord, you know that I love you. Philios, a friendship love. You know that I love you as a friend. And Jesus gives him a prescription, feed my lambs. Jesus asks him again, Peter, do you love me? Agape, unconditionally. Peter replies, Lord, you know that I love you. Philios, you know that I love you as a friend. Jesus says, tend my lambs. A third time Jesus asks him, but this time there's a change. Jesus says, Peter, do you love me? Philios. Do you love me as a friend? And this is why Peter seemingly gets so upset. He's like, Lord, I told you that I loved you. Philios. I love you as a friend. And then Jesus says, feed my sheep. I find it so interesting that Jesus for so long was trying to bring them up to a certain level. In fact, he seemed so worried that he was going to die and rise and ascend, and this was the early church, these guys. He seemed really concerned about that. And yet at this moment, when he has a dialogue with Peter, he's risen from the dead, everything's been fulfilled. He says, Peter, do you love me, Philios? Because Peter was not ready for agape. We know that in the first reading, then he's ready for agape. We know when he goes to his martyrdom, then he will be ready for agape. But he's not ready yet. And that's the message of our Lord. That everybody is at a different place in their spiritual life. Everybody is in a different place with their love of God. And I can say, yes, Lord, I love you unconditionally, until he asks me to do something that's tough, or until he gives me conditions for discipleship. But what Jesus does here is he meets Peter where he's at. Jesus walks down to where Peter is at. He takes him by the hand, and he leads him to where he needs to be. And I have a secret for you. That's not only with Peter. That's with us. He meets us where we're at. Where am I at? Where are you at? And then he leads us to where we need to be. Where does he want us to be?